People in Maple Ridge whispered about the circle the way people whispered about things they didn't understand, softly, curiously, and always from a distance. Some said it was a quiet retreat for people who needed emotional rest. Others believed it was a small gathering of adults who shared honest conversations that everyday life didn't allow. But no one knew for sure, because the people inside the circle never talked about it outside the lakeside cabin where it happened. For Emily Carter, the mystery was not about the cabin or the people who met there. The real mystery was why her best friend, Ryan Evans, had never invited her, even though they had known each other for almost 9 years. That question, small but persistent, stayed in the back of her mind long after Ryan told her he had joined some group up by the lake. He never hid it, but he never talked about it either. Emily didn't push him, but a quiet part of her always wondered what he kept behind that door. So when his message arrived on a warm Friday afternoon, just after Emily had shut down her laptop, it caught her breath. "If you're free tonight, come with me to the circle." No explanation, no long text. Just an invitation that felt heavier than the words themselves. Emily read it twice. Her heart gave a small, unexpected jumper reaction she tried not to acknowledge. Ryan was her closest friend, but sometimes she felt something more tugging at her edges. She never acted on it. She never said it out loud. But it lived quietly inside her like a secret she didn't know how to let out. She typed, "Okay, what time?" He sent the time. No emojis, no extra words. As if he was trying not to say too much by the time she reached the lakeside cabin. The sun was dipping low behind the trees, coloring the sky in gold and soft rose. The cabin stood alone, with lanterns glowing calmly beside the door. It didn't look like a place of secrets. It looked peaceful, warm, most like a home someone forgot to finish building. Emily paused at the bottom of the steps, suddenly aware that she was stepping into a part of Ryan's life she had never seen before. She wasn't sure why she felt nervous, but she didn't nervous in a way that felt meaningful. Before she could knock, the door opened. Ryan stood there, one hand on the frame, his face caught between relief and nerves. "I was afraid you might change your mind," he said. Emily shook her head. "I wouldn't do that." He stepped back to let her inside. The cabin was cozy, soft lights, wooden walls, and the smell of tea and pine. A small group of 5 people sat around a round table, talking quietly. They looked normal, calm, comfortable with each other. Not mysterious. Not closed off. Emily felt some of the tension in her shoulders loosen. Ryan leaned slightly closer. "It's not like a club or anything strict. We just talk. About real things. Things people don't usually talk about out there." He gestured vaguely toward the world outside. She nodded, watching the way he spoke. There was something sincere in his tone, something careful. He wanted her here, but he also feared something she couldn't name yet. A woman with short auburn hair stood from the table and walked over, smiling with effortless warmth. "You must be Emily," she said. "I'm Hannah. Welcome to the circle." Emily shook her hand, grateful for the calm energy. "Nice to meet you. We usually start around sunset," Hannah said. "Find a seat anywhere?" Emily sat beside Ryan, and though he said nothing, she felt a quiet shift between them. Like he was aware every second that she was now inside his protected space. The group settled, and Hannah gently tapped her ceramic mug. "Tonight," she said, "we'll be talking about truths we have avoided but can no longer ignore." Emily felt her heartbeat pick up. Ryan's eyes flicked toward her. Not long enough to be obvious, but long enough for her to feel it, as the first person began sharing a small story about avoiding a conversation with her sister. Emily realized something. This wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a secret society. It was a place where people came to breathe, honestly, without fear of being judged, and somehow that made it more intimate than she expected. The conversation moved around the table faster than she thought it would. Everyone spoke simply, openly. Some talked about fears they couldn't shake. Others talked about dreams they postponed for years. It was vulnerable, but not heavy. Emotional, but not overwhelming. When it came to Emily, she hesitated, but only for a moment. "I guess," She began softly. I've been avoiding admitting how exhausted I've been. Not physically, just emotionally. Life feels loud lately, and I don't know how to turn it down. Several people nodded with understanding. Hannah smiled, her expression gentle. Thank you for sharing that. It takes courage to say it out loud. When the attention moved forward, Emily exhaled quietly. It surprised her how light she felt after saying something so simple. She glanced at Ryan. He was watching her with a small, grateful smile. But the peace didn't last long. When the circle reached him, Ryan sat straighter, his expression tightening just a little. Not enough for the others to notice. But Emily saw it. She always noticed small things about him. Your turn, Ryan, Hannah said. He cleared his throat. My truth is one I've struggled with for a while. Emily waited, curious. He had never looked this uncomfortable in front of her. I've been keeping part of my life quiet, said, his voice controlled. Not out of secrecy. Just fear. Emily's stomach tightened unexpectedly. Fear of what? Hannah nodded gently. We're here. Keep going. Ryan didn't look away from Emily this time. His eyes held hers for a second too long. A second heavy enough that she felt a question climbing inside her. He blinked, then forced his gaze down to the wooden table before speaking again. I've avoided letting certain people see the parts of me I don't show easily. And I think I'm tired of doing that. Emily felt something warm spread through her chest. There was meaning in what he said, something directed toward her. Even if he didn't name it. He didn't say anything more, and the table moved on. But Emily remained still inside that moment. She kept hearing the quiet tremble in his voice. She kept replaying the way he looked at her. Like he was choosing honesty but fighting something inside himself. After the session ended, people lingered with warm drinks, talking casually. Emily stepped outside onto the porch, needing a moment to breathe the cool air. The lake shimmered under the moonlight, calm and slow. She wrapped her arms around herself, not from cold, but from the intensity of the evening. She had expected curiosity, maybe a little awkwardness, but she had not expected to feel this closeness, this emotional weight pulling her inward. Footsteps approached behind her. You okay? Ryan asked softly. She nodded. Just thinking. About tonight. About why you brought me. He leaned against the railing beside her, his hands inside his pockets, his shoulders slightly tense. I thought it was time. Time for what? He exhaled, looking out at the water. To let you see something I couldn't explain in words. Emily studied him, noticing the quiet strain under his calm expression. Ryan, it felt like your truth tonight was directed at someone. Or maybe at me. He didn't deny it. He also didn't confirm it. Instead, he gave her a small, uneven smile. You're important to me, Emily. You always have been. And I realized I've been holding back because I didn't want to risk anything between us. Her breath caught. Just a little, he continued, voice low but steady. But inviting you here felt like the first step towards stopping that. Emily's heart tightened in a way she wasn't prepared for. She watched his profile in the moonlight. Sincere, quietly vulnerable. The circle wasn't about secrets. It was about honesty. And tonight, Ryan had opened a door not only to the cabin, but to something deeper between them. Before she could respond, the cabin door opened behind them. Ryan, Hannah called gently. Could you help me with something inside? He nodded and turned back to Emily. Wait here, please. She nodded without speaking, watching him walk back into the warm glow of the cabin. She stood alone on the porch, the lake stretching before her, the night holding its breath, and she realized something with startling clarity. The cabin was quiet now, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound louder. The clink of a mug, the creak of a chair, the soft shuffle of feet on wooden floors. Emily stayed on the porch for a moment, letting the night air calm the flutter in her chest. The lake glimmered under the moon, silent and still, reflecting her thoughts back at her like a mirror she couldn't look away from. She didn't hear Ryan approaching until he was right behind her. Hey, he said softly. His voice barely disturbed the night. yet it was enough to make her heart jump. "Hey," she whispered back, almost surprised she had words at all. He leaned against the railing, the same spot she had just been, his eyes on the water. For a long moment, neither spoke. There was an unspoken tension between them, a quiet waiting. Emily felt her pulse quicken. Something was coming, she could feel it. The weight of everything unspoken between them pressed gently, insistently. Ryan finally broke the silence. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you. I've been holding it back for a long time." Her stomach fluttered. She knew what he was hinting at, and yet the thought of it being said out loud sent a shiver down her spine. "What is it?" she asked softly, trying to sound casual but failing. Ryan took a deep breath. He looked at the lake for a moment, as if drawing courage from the calm water. Then, slowly, he turned to her, and their eyes met. It was the first time all night he really looked at her. "I've been afraid. Afraid of letting anyone see who I really am. Afraid that if I did, they'd leave." Emily's chest tightened. She had known Ryan for almost a decade. She had shared everything, laughs, tears, late-night conversations, but she had never seen him like this. Vulnerable, open, exposed in a way that made her want to reach out and protect him, but also to lean in and let him know she had always seen him, even without words. "Why now?" she asked softly, stepping closer. Instinctively closing the space between them, he exhaled a long, slow release that seemed to carry years of tension. "Because I realized I can't keep hiding parts of myself from the people I care about. And the truth is, the only person I've ever wanted to let in completely. It's sitting right in front of me." Emily felt her heart leap, then slow, then jump again. She didn't speak immediately. She just watched him, trying to understand the depth of what he had just said. Every word was carefully measured, yet it carried raw emotion. Ryan took another step closer. "I didn't want to risk our friendship, but I can't pretend anymore. I've been holding back because I was scared of losing you, scared of what might happen if I showed too much. But hiding it only made it harder." Her eyes softened. A warm, tender emotion rose inside her chest. She realized, in that moment, that she had felt this too, this quiet longing. This careful hope she had buried under laughter and casual conversations. And now, standing here in the gentle glow of lantern light, she understood that what she had always felt for Ryan wasn't just friendship. "I've felt the same way," she whispered. Her voice trembled slightly, but she said it anyway. "I've cared about you more than I let myself admit. But I was scared too." Relief crossed his face, subtle yet unmistakable. His shoulders relaxed and a small, almost shy smile formed on his lips. "You mean, you feel the same?" Emily nodded, letting herself breathe in the truth finally spoken. "Yes, I was just afraid of ruining what we already have." Ryan reached out his hand slowly, hesitating just a moment before offering it to her. "We don't have to rush anything," he said gently. "We just start being honest with each other." She took his hand without a word, the simple touch sending a quiet thrill through her. It wasn't dramatic or loud. It was subtle, meaningful, grounding. To people who had shared so much, now allowing themselves to finally be seen completely. They stood in silence for a moment, hand in hand, watching the moonlight shimmer on the lake. Emily felt a wave of calm wash over her, for the first time in years. She felt like something real and steady was forming, something that didn't need loud declarations or grand gestures. Just honesty. Just them. Ryan spoke again, his voice low, carrying a quiet wonder. "I can't believe I kept this from you for so long. It feels wrong and right at the same time." Emily smiled softly, squeezing his hand. "Sometimes the right things take time." He nodded, and they both turned to look back at the cabin. Inside, the others were cleaning up, chatting quietly. The circle wasn't just a place for sharing truths. It had become the backdrop for their own small, tender truth unfolding. "I guess you could say the circle brought us here," Emily said with a small laugh. Ryan chuckled, a soft, genuine sound. "Yeah, I guess it did." He squeezed her hand again. "And I'm glad you're here. Not just tonight, but here with me. Her heart lifted. There was something deeply comforting about his words, something that made her feel anchored in a way she hadn't before. She realized that all the moments of quiet longing, all the subtle hints of connection over the years, had led them here to a place where honesty and care intersected perfectly. They moved inside together, quietly rejoining the group, but the energy between them had shifted. There was an unspoken understanding now, a gentle acknowledgement of the bond they had always shared and were finally ready to explore in a new, deeper way. Emily caught Ryan's eye across the room. He smiled at her again, small but full of meaning. She smiled back, feeling a mix of warmth, excitement, and calm, feeling that this moment wasn't an end, but a beginning. As the night wore on, they helped clean up, exchanged small jokes with the group, and settled into a comfortable rhythm. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was forced. The circle remained a place of honesty, reflection, and quiet intimacy. And within it, Emily and Ryan had discovered their own unspoken story of care, longing, and mutual respect that didn't need drama to be powerful. After everyone left, Emily and Ryan lingered a moment longer, standing together on the porch again. The lake was calm, reflecting the stars and the soft glow of the cabin lights. "I feel like something just changed," Emily said softly. Ryan nodded, his hand brushing against hers. "It did, and it feels right." Emily leaned slightly toward him, a gentle, natural motion. He didn't pull away. He simply matched her pace. Their closeness, quiet but electric in its simplicity. She whispered, "This feels like the start of something real." Ryan smiled, finally fully relaxed. "It does, and we'll figure it out. Together." They stood in silence for a while, letting the moment sink in. It wasn't dramatic. There were no fireworks or grand declarations. Just a people who had shared years of friendship, finally allowing their hearts to speak. Slowly and sincerely, when Emily finally turned to leave, Ryan squeezed her hand once more. "See you next Friday?" he asked, a playful yet tender tone in his voice. Emily smiled, feeling a happiness she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. "Next Friday," she agreed, as she walked away from the cabin. The moonlight on the lake, the warmth in her chest, and the memory of Ryan's gentle honesty filled her with a quiet certainty. Something beautiful had begun. Something honest, tender, and full of possibility. And it all started with an invitation, a secret club, and the courage to finally speak the truth. The circle wasn't just a gathering of people sharing thoughts. For Emily and Ryan, it had become the place where hearts found the courage to speak, and where a new chapter of their lives together had quietly begun, full of hope, understanding, and the promise of something real.